everyone, welcome back to Media Addicts Anonymous. This is Sammie here. My pronouns are she, her. As always, I am here with my good friend and cousin,
Tae, and my pronouns are he, him. Happy to be here.
So, Tae, right now, how many WOW ships can you name?
Oh my god, you're putting me on the spot. Okay, well, we were just talking about the Owl House before we started recording, so Lumity, and then, do I have to know their names? Because, I feel like I know characters, but not their names. A League of Their Own, there's at least, 2 in there.
Okay, you don't actually have to do that. That was just my awesome segue into the topic.
Warrior Nun. She-Ra, Cachadora. Oh my god. First Kill.
Oh, First Kill.
Do they have to be canon?
Yeah. No. They don't need to be canon, actually.
Okay, actually, well, if they don't have to be canon, then it's way easier.
I can think of the Supergirl ship. Harlivy.
Korasami.
Oh, yeah.
Bubble Line.
Who's that?
From Adventure Time.
Okay.
Princess Bubblegum and Marceline. There's plenty. Okay, you should tell me, though, what your ships are.
My ships? This is really embarrassing. Oh, also, we need to define WLW.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, WLW, women loving women, and we are talking about media as always, if you couldn't tell from the shows. This is really embarrassing. I don't really have a lot of big WLW ships that are really close to my heart. Actually, my very favorite WLW canon ship right now is from the Ghostbusters remake movies.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
I told you about it. It's McKenna Grace's character in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So I already loved her in Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire came out on Netflix recently, and I watched it. She has a romance with a ghost of a 16-year-old girl, and she's 15 or something. Her name is Phoebe Spangler, and then the ghost's name is Melody, and they have a really, really cute romance thing where actually the ghost tricks her into becoming a conduit to execute this evil guy's plan. And it's actually very dramatic and angsty. It's very disappointing also because if they were straight, there would have been a lot more there textually. Melody is too bad that I'm a ghost and you're a human and we can't physically interact, And Phoebe's well, what if I became a ghost for a second? And so she puts herself into this machine and extracts her soul from her body. And it's that's pretty gay. I genuinely feel if they were a straight pairing, they would have kissed before the betrayal happened.
It would have been a romantic backstabbing.
Yeah, and it was a romantic backstabbing. It was absolutely intended to be that way. And I know that I'm not delusional. Later, Phoebe is was any of it real?
That's crazy. Was any of it real?
You don't say that to a friend.
That's tea.
And then at the end, Melody moves on. She's gone. Maybe there was going to be more, sapphic future for Phoebe Spangler, but the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire really didn't do very well, so I don't know if there's going to be a third movie.
Yeah, I think I heard there's not going to be. Well, that's too bad.
I was really only watching it for Phoebe Spangler. Anyway, I talked for a long time. Tell me about your favorite WLW.
Wait, I was gonna ask, have you seen Wheel of Time?
I haven't because I heard it was bad.
Yeah, the first season was really boring, but the second season is pretty fire.
Oh.
Anyways, I ask because that's actually a fantasy show with a central WLW ship, which I feel is kind of rare. It's between Moraine and who is one of the main characters. She's the wizened older magic user who comes to help the squad of younger protagonists and guide them on their journey. She's their mentor essentially, but she's kind of unhinged, honestly, but power to her. And she actually is the secret lover of the leader of the magic woman in this show, but they can't show their relationship because it would show that she favors her because she's also one of the magic women who are called the Aes Sedai. And so it's really tea. And then in the second season there's all this betrayal and stuff where she disobeys her and runs away, and then she tries to put down her power as the leader, and it's super dramatic because that's kind of a violation of the dynamics of their relationship because they had known each other since they were younger before she rose to power. So that's kind of crazy. I recommend that if anyone wants to watch a fantasy WOW show. I'm trying to think of other ones. Another fantasy show with some WOW canon stuff is Dragon Age. Okay, I don't remember because I'm mixing it up with all the video games, but it's based on the video game, the Dragon Age show, I believe on Netflix. that one has the main character is a brown woman of color who is also queer, and her relationship is one of the central ones. And I don't want to spoil it for you unless you're not going to watch it.
I might watch it.
Okay, then I won't spoil it for you. But that one's crazy. And I think one of the rare instances of like fantasy oppression done right, because it's like they didn't just put white people in and then give them like elf ears and then be like, oh my god, oppression, because it's like, oh, she actually has like intersectionality, like she's an elf but she's also like a brown woman of color who's queer,
Right. And you can like kind of look at it as like a lens of real life.
exactly. You can use like our world's society and how they would treat her, and also like see that layered with how they treat like elves in this Dragon Age society. But that's another like good show with like a WoW lead. I'm trying to think of like things that I personally do. It's just been so long since I've actually like shipped something. I feel like the last thing I was really into was like First Kill though.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of like good shipping content, at least in the exact niche that I like to watch. But I have to talk about Wicked actually.
Because I know you've been reading the book recently.
Yes, I have, Tae.
You got to tell me, how is it?
So I actually haven't finished it. I just have like a little bit more of the end left. But let me tell you, that is so different from the musical. I'm assuming everyone is familiar with the musical, but I actually didn't like it that much when I went to see it.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying this.
Yeah, this was in like middle school maybe. And I really liked the music, but I was kind of disappointed by the stage play, which like makes sense because it actually did not win Tony for Best Musical.
Yeah.
It actually lost to one of my favorite shows, Avenue Q. So
Slay.
But not like fuck Wicked. Even though like I'm aware that I didn't like the show that much, I am really into it now. And even I found like a original Broadway cast recording on YouTube of like the entire thing, and I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, it's like not all that. Like it's a great, really fun show, but like we've seen Hadestown. Remember when we went to see that?
Yeah, that
like,
was so good. The staging of that is incredible.
that was an incredible show. Like there's nothing said. Like of course it's a Tony winner, and like of course Wicked also won Tonys. No hate to Wicked. If you love Wicked, like go forth, slay. But anyway, the things that I had to say.
I'm curious, like, what's gayer? Like, is the musical gayer or is the book gayer? Because
the book is not very gay. Actually, there's
really?
very little of Elphaba's first-person perspective in the book.
Oh, wait,
and
whose perspective is it from?
Like, literally everyone else's. It keeps switching.
Oh.
And it's from everyone's perspective except for Elphaba's. It's actually, like, a lot more complex and has, like... I don't know if I want to say that the social commentary is good. I don't think I'll make that judgment when I finish it. But it has a lot to say. And the musical is severely, severely dumbed down, which is fine. They make it like two girls fighting over one guy, and of course that's not the main thing. The main thing is like their friendship, but that's also kind of a big aspect of it, that at different points and also overlapping, they love the same man, which doesn't happen in the book, I think.
Oh, there's not like a love triangle at all?
I don't think so. Also, Glinda's like not that much, she's not that big a character in the book.
Oh, what the heck? This is like so different.
Or like she is.
Elphaba the main character of the musical?
She is.
And then
yeah. I guess I think that the musical is gayer so far. Again, I haven't finished the book, but I thought for a second that the book was going to be gayer because so it's the point in the musical when it's like defying gravity at the end when she's like stay, and then Elphaba's like, no, I'm gonna go, like you should come with me. And actually
classic.
the moment that's of that in the book is severely less dramatic, because basically they're leaving the Emerald City and they're getting back on their train, and Elphaba's just like, bye Glinda, like I'm not coming back with you. I'm dropping out of school and I'm going to join the resistance. And then she kisses her before she leaves.
Oh, whoa.
And so I was right. Okay, right? So I read that and I was like, what? She kissed her?
Like on the mouth?
Like it just says, I mean, I can literally like look for it right now and tell you. She put her face against Glinda's and kissed her. Hold out if you can, she murmured, and kissed her again. Hold out, my sweet.
Yo.
So...
That's pretty fruity. I don't know.
So I was like, yeah, that's pretty gay. But then there was something else later where like somebody kissed somebody And there's a lot of like the cultural stuff is very, I guess I want to say like European in the way that they're just like all kissing each other. I don't know who does that. Definitely not the Americans, but
yeah, no, definitely like the French or something.
Like other people, yeah. So there's like a lot of like kissing in a non-romantic way. So I actually don't think that the book is very gay either.
I see, but like they're not really giving gay and like the other parts, like they don't have the tension as they do in the musical.
In the musical, like they should have been gay. They obviously
they were gay. Like, what is this feeling is literally gay.
And that's the joke too, because like first time I heard that song, I was like loving. They're singing loving, but they're saying loathing.
Right, it's literally the joke, but they're literally gay.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is kind of interesting because I remember earlier before we got on air, you were talking about like the representation of like sapphic characters and the line between like female friendships and romantic relationships. So do you feel like that's something that's like relevant to your perception of Wicked?
Yeah, I think that in general, like not just with Wicked, but with like in media, close friendships between women and also like sapphic relationships between women, the confusion around it kind of reflects the confusion that can be in a real life scenario between women. Like,
is she flirting with me or is she just nice?
Right. And it happens with like close friends too. And in real life, what is the difference between me having this close friendship with another woman and like us having romantic tension? Really, the only difference is just like how we both feel about it, you know?
Yeah,
and,
perception.
Right. And so that's like very internal, and it's kind of like totally independent from how we act when other people are perceiving us. But when you're watching on the media, it's all decided by writers and then like the audience who perceive it. So what's actually going on and what you see, well, I guess the point is in media, there is nothing, quote, actually going on. They aren't real people.
Right.
It's only what you see. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that media is not a good model for helping you decide those things in your real life.
Yeah, because it literally is just like, oh, I decide this is gay or I decide it's not. But like, it's not that simple in real life because the other person has like interiority or whatever.
Yeah, but you know, there is always that question, and this applies to like so many different kinds of queer ships, where it's like people, homophobes really, will argue and be like, well, why can't they just be friends? You see that with Luca. You see that with Phoebe Spangler and Melody from the Ghostbuster remakes. And
right.
Elphaba and Glinda, like in the musical, they really, really push that sister thing. They're like,
oh, really?
We're sisters.
Honestly, I'm not
sisters.
that familiar with it.
No, like they're all like, or I can't remember now if that's in the musical or if that's really just Ariana Grande being like, she's my sister. That's what sisters do. I'm really excited for them. No hate to them. And you know what? If Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande don't play them as gay, that's okay. Like, no hate to them, but
I'll be a little sad.
I think they're gay. Like, I honestly, like, I don't even need their validation. I know.
We know what's up.
I know what's true. But yeah, so what do you think about that with like what was I talking about?
You're just talking about how it, like, the relation to your life, about how close female friendships that aren't canonically like queer sapphic relationships are kind of make it confusing in your own life to figure out whether things are platonic or not, or they're not helpful in deciding that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not the media's fault.
But also maybe it is, because if they had more confirmed sapphic ships, maybe that would be better, because obviously like media representation isn't the end all be all of social issues, but it is useful to see yourself reflected in the media. And the other option, kind of, obviously we're getting better sapphic representation now, but it's kind of interesting because I feel like the split has been sort of like either children's cartoons, which, you know, can't really show like the more adult side of like queer relationships, because, you know, it's like Hachidora, like Korasami, Lumity, like those kind of things, which love, slay, but, you know, they're for kids. And then the other end of the spectrum, which you were mentioning earlier, is like sapphic, like period films where it's like they stare at each other longingly for 2 hours and then they have graphic lesbian sex.
So graphic. You know? Oh my God. And I feel like I haven't really seen what I perceive to be like my experience on screen yet. Mm-hmm. And that is my justification for like why I don't have like a really like a WLW ship that I'm like really, really into. And I would say that like what I want to see, or what I think I would love to see, is a situation. I feel, okay, let me start by saying what there is already. What I feel like I see is like situations where like two women will stumble upon each other and they just like somehow both like know that they're queer, or like, oh, there was a movie with like Rowan Blanchard and Ali Cravalho called Crush, and there was kind of like a question like, oh, like is so and so queer, like that. But I just didn't like that movie very much.
They didn't know they were queer, is what you said?
Yeah, like she liked this girl, she didn't know she was queer. Mm-hmm. There's like either like they both like know they're queer and they're just into each other, or like they are both closeted. I don't know. It's just like I feel like I'm missing the big struggle in between. The big like angsty struggle with one's own sexuality, with like knowing what someone else's sexuality is. And that's just like where I've firmly been on several occasions. And I have yet to see something like that, because if I had seen it, I would have absolutely latched onto it.
No, you're kind of right. Because when you're talking about that, there's so many like queer teen movies for like gay men about like coming to terms with being gay, liking boys, like that kind of stuff. But I feel like there's not really the same importance, I guess, like given to like sapphic realizations of like, oh, I'm queer. It just kind of automatically goes to like, I'm kissing my friend now.
Yeah, because they make it seem like it's either like, one, like so easy to know, like women, they just know. Or like two, it's like really easy to just try. It's like, oh yeah, just like make out with your best friend and then like see if that works for you. I think that's definitely like true to some people's experience. I don't think that that's like super realistic based off, I guess, only my own experience. I also like don't know a lot of sapphic couples personally. I have a lot of queer friends. They're all single.
I do know sapphic couples, but that is so valid. I think one thing that comes to mind, and I feel like a lot of the ones where it's kind of like that confusing like best friend dynamic, like we were just talking about Wicked obviously, but like another huge like cultural touchstone is Jennifer's Body. And you know, that's like that dynamic where it's like, oh, are they friends, are they lovers? And then I'm pretty sure they have that one making out scene, but it's definitely like not explicitly like said, oh, they're girlfriends, because obviously like it's pretty obvious they're like gay and have gay tension because they like make out, and their whole like dynamic is basically like Jennifer being like jealous of the boys that like Needy is into or something like that. I don't remember the exact plot, but basically like it's pretty gay. Their whole lives revolve around each other, but it's not confirmed like girlfriends. And it's also toxic, which is fun.
It's
but
toxic,
not useful.
Yeah, it's toxic, and it ends. And I actually do really like Jennifer's Body. And I was
Slay.
mildly obsessed with it, like around whenever it was that I watched it. You know, the questioning on Needy's part is avoided entirely. Like,
right,
it's
they
there
don't examine
for Jennifer.
it that deeply.
They never go into it. It's like they have this tension, they kiss each other, and then Needy like completely boxes it away. And then the rest of the movie happens, and it's like all plot stuff. And then they defeat Jennifer, like they stab her through the stomach with a pole of heteronormativity, and this like bisexual evil is defeated by their hetero. That was like when the first time I watched that movie, actually, I was like, that was super homophobic. Why do people like it so much?
It's just one of those cases I think of. It's a cult classic. People were like, we had better things to get into.
Yeah. That's fair. Like, I think she's iconic. Like, I get it. And like when iconic. I was a little older, I watched it again and I was like, no, I mean, like that was iconic. Like, yeah, was it biphobic?
Yeah.
Yes. But like, yeah. So there isn't really anything that I haven't found anything that like really spoke to me yet. Mm-hmm. And I think I find a lot of that, obviously, like not in exactly the same way in like MLM stuff. It's just a lot more like angst and like working through layers. Because I like the working through layers of toxic masculinity, because I feel like I have, you know, not like toxic masculinity, but like aspects of like heteronormativity and hubris that I'm like chipping away at with a like Minecraft pickaxe, you know?
No, I know what you're saying. Like I'm just thinking back to the things we mentioned last episode. We talked about Heartstopper, we talked about Red, White, and Royal Blue, which, you know, aren't, especially like Red, White, or Royal Blue isn't necessarily like the highest quality media or anything, but they definitely have like their main characters, especially like the bisexual ones, go through that like queer awakening and working through like what does it mean to have attraction to men, like what does that look like, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm thinking back to like even like Heartstopper, I would say is like aimed towards a younger audience, but the sapphic shows that are aimed towards a younger audience, for example, like, you know, the Owl House and like Cachadora and She-Ra and like that kind of thing, they don't really have that like questioning period, which I think is like good to have, like where queerness is just normalized. But it does make sense that you're kind of missing that. I want to say that A League of Their Own has the main character go through that questioning period.
She does.
It's not like, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not as like explained, I think, like aimed for like a younger audience, but she definitely does have like her gay awakening arc.
A League of Their Own was great.
It was so good. I'm so mad it got canceled.
That fucking sucked. I really liked that show. It wasn't like fandom for me, but I really enjoyed it. I watch a lot of sapphic shows that I really, really enjoy, like Feel Good. I like the show called The Bisexual. I actually have not finished it, even though it's very short. Like I watch them, but they're not like fandom to me. But you're right. A League of Their Own is kind of like does have that storyline, and I really liked that. That's that. I can't, like, I don't know, that one, it wasn't fandom to me, and I can't really explain why it wasn't fandom.
I feel like it makes sense because it's just like a really well written show with like great characters and great dynamics. And I feel like when shows are kind of like that and they're a little bit more serious and grounded in like historical reality, it's like kind of feels weirder to be like, oh, it's fandom to me, because, you know, like you're already given like all the content there, so you can just like enjoy it. You don't feel like you're missing anything after you've watched it.
Yeah, something has to like almost be a little bit shitty about it for it
Yeah,
to really
no,
be
I totally
fandom.
agree with you. To like be like, oh, I need to get into the fandom because like there's things I need to explore further. I will say I do really like the two butches in that show, Lupe and then the blonde girl. I think the fan art and stuff I see of them is like really cute because that's another thing I don't see a lot of is like butch rep in like media where it's not like something stupid like Disney making the first gay Disney character for the 5,000th time and then making her like a freaking cop, you know, like that shows up for 2 seconds.
God.
Like so many things wrong with making a butch lesbian character a cop considering their history, but yeah, I think that's something that we're definitely missing in media, and I hope we get more of soon. I don't know, but right now I'm thinking about like the butchest woman that Twitter can handle is Taylor Swift in a backward ball cap, and that is so funny to me. But I think that really speaks to like the lack of butch representation, not only in like media, as in like fictional shows and movies, but just generally like in the public eye. Like, girl, where are they?
No, that's so true. And then I was thinking back to like what you were saying before about like off air about how there's like an overrepresentation ratio wise of what did you say, like femme and femme?
Femme for femme,
femme
yeah, like
for femme, yeah.
Femme, FEM, femme, not FEMME.
Right. No, I totally agree about that. And so I think it's not like there's any way that a sapphic couple is like quote unquote supposed to look like, but I feel like media has misrepresented like sapphic couples.
Yeah, like you feel like it's wrong, and then they can't all be like, yeah, no, I definitely think that the sapphic couples I know in real life aren't all femme for femme. Like I know that for a fact. A lot of them are non-binary or like they present like gender non-conforming and stuff like that, because I feel like as a general rule of thumb, a lot of queer people look queer, and even if they do present on the more feminine side, it's not really like your cis heteronormative like standard of female beauty per se. Because it's not to say that like some lesbians can't like pass as straight women when you see them on the street or something like that, but I think in my own life I definitely see like more queer looking sapphic couples.
I feel like the overrepresentation of like normie sapphic couples. No, okay. So the reason that it's like disturbing to me, I guess, is that that's exactly like what society wants from lesbians.
Right. Where they're both two attractive, like straight passing women that make out.
Exactly. And so that's what disturbs me. And that's what I think makes a lot of, you had a really good quote, I think last episode when you were like, red, white, and royal blue is gay, it's not queer.
Thank you.
So I feel like a lot of couples like that in the media, they just don't feel queer to me. Right. And I feel like that's how a lot of the lesbian period drama characters feel. And I know that's like a little bit of a different story because it's like historical and they like have to pass or something like that.
Yeah, but even then, like, A League of Their Own is historical. I know it's not as far back in time, but clearly they were still like butches, and not saying that there were like butches in the 1800s, though there were like.
I mean, there were though.
Yeah, exactly. Like they might have not used that terminology for themselves, but there were women and people who weren't women who would probably like identify as lesbian today who loved women and presented very masculine.
Yeah, there's like always this idea that like and this is with so many different minority groups, but there's this idea that people of color and queer people, trans people didn't exist long time ago, or like in this fucking like stupid white historical canon that we have. People like don't do any research even when they're making movies, and they're like, well, of course, like we can't have people like out here like looking gay in our movie. That's not realistic. And it's like, but there were just so many people.
Yeah, exactly.
So much stuff happened and you don't even look into it. And that's very frustrating to me. And also, and like in the more like modern context too, like disturbing.
Yeah, quite literally, because we have historical proof that even in Europe and like the West in, I don't know, the 1800s or whatever, there were women who presented and behaved a lot more masculine. And not only that, but it's like, who defines what's gay? Like, what's gay is kind of essentially just referring to like what's non-normative. And the perceptions of like queerness over time have been like super different. Like being gay wasn't even like a thing. Like it wasn't even an identity you could have in the 1800s in like England and stuff, because people just saw like having gay sex as a thing you did, not a thing you were.
Right.
And so it was just like a completely different mindset. And like in other places in the world, they would probably see like other people's like presentations of their gender, which were not always just like man and woman, and that'd probably be like gay to us now, but and back then it was just like normal for them. And you know, it's just like there's lots of cultural diversity, there's gender diversity, there's sexual diversity, and it's like things have not always been the same. We weren't always like this, and there's lots of diversity and we weren't always like this, but we also were always like this in the fact that there was always diversity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I feel like filmmakers today, media creators today are just like with their ignorance trying to like erase historical diversity in our minds now, which is upsetting.
Yeah, it is.
I remember learning about that being gay is like something you do and not something you are, with like the anti-sodomy laws. And like I remember we learned in class about how like women were often more able to get away with that.
Right.
Because, you know, you go over to somebody's house during the day and your husbands are at work. Like nobody knows what happens. And that's kind of like the vibe of that show Dickinson.
No, I feel like that's real, because like, yeah, they didn't actually believe that women knew they could have sex together. Like men didn't know that in like England, because they were so misogynistic that they were like, women wouldn't be able to come up with the concept of gay sex by themselves, so we shouldn't make a law banning lesbian sex because then they'll get the idea to do it. And it was like, there's so many things wrong with that statement. So we don't need to unpack all that. But yeah, you're definitely right. I feel like we need to talk about The Handmaiden, because like we're Korean, so.
The Handmaiden, a movie from our homeland, motherland.
Yeah, slay.
It is a lesbian movie. And I actually really, really like this movie.
Slay.
I'm about to absolutely trash it. But I really liked it. I really enjoy it. And there's this once, okay. So this is yours, even though it's Korean, like most of these, when we talk about like lesbian period drama, they're usually like European and are either American or like British films.
Right.
Or maybe like French in the case of Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Even though I actually like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, the sex scenes were very tasteful. And I haven't heard anything problematic about it. And I didn't pay enough attention when I was watching it to come up with anything myself. Anyway, even though this one is Korean and it is set in Japan during Japanese occupation of, oh wait, no, it's in Korea though.
Yes, I do believe it's in Korea, but like in a Japanese household of
right.
Like one of the colonizers.
Yeah, okay, my bad. It's set in Korea during Japanese occupation. It's similar to the like other lesbian period dramas in that it's directed by a man, and there is a crazy sex scene in it that they show twice. Like once and it's pretty graphic, and then they show it a second time and it's more graphic. Okay, now don't like all rush to watch it all at once, but I felt like that movie, like there's a lot of themes of like voyeurism, which I think is supposed to be like commentary on like men fetishizing lesbians and like lesbian sex. And I think that that's like the point of having those graphic sex scenes, even though it's like at this point kind of a joke of the genre.
Right.
And I think the director knew that and was trying to say something about that and be like, look at you, like now you are the voyeur and this is what it's like. And that's why in the other lesbian period drama that I'm referring to is Ammonite with Saoirse Ronan and Kate Winslet.
Wait, I had
and
no
that
idea
one also
they
has,
were the leads of that. Sorry, go ahead.
I
just
know,
didn't know
like
that.
they also have a very graphic sex
Wait,
scene.
that's crazy. I actually didn't know that was the actors.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. That one is like, it's graphic, but it's like a lot more realistic. Like it's like, oh yeah, they put in that sex scene and it's very graphic, but they were just like doing a graphic sex scene. The sex scene in The Handmaiden is like so graphic, it had to be on purpose.
It was scary, dude.
And they're like, there's no way that anybody was like, you know, the stereotype of like lesbian porn, which is just like things moving around. Like there's just like stuff. And so I was like, this had to be intentional. He had to know what he was doing. And so my interpretation, and I think like others that I've seen online, is like, you are the voyeur and it's like putting you in the perspective, and it does this thing that all like contributes to his commentary. Now, my problem with that then is that it's making it very clear who his audience is. And his audience is like essentially like men, more specifically, not sapphic women.
Even though he's trying to make that commentary, you think?
He's trying to make that commentary to everyone except sapphic women, because it's saying like, this is a bad thing, you know? Fetishizing lesbians is a bad thing.
I see. Like lesbians would already know that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's not a sapphic movie made for the sapphics. It is a sapphic movie made to like advocate for the sapphics to the not sapphics by a man. And that's like fine, I guess. But the point is it is a sapphic movie, but it's not for the sapphics. Like that is not, it implies that that's not the intended audience. And that is the main reason why, that is the main like vice of the movie, in my opinion. That being said, there is one moment that I really, really like in the movie that makes me like it. And the movie is actually very cool. And there's a lot of like cool betrayal, and I won't spoil it. But
if anyone hasn't seen it yet.
Amidst all of this like chaos and these like horribly graphic sex scenes, there's this one scene where like the Japanese like lady of the house is like inside of a room, and there's like a sliding door, and the handmaiden, who's her lover, is like standing outside, and she's like leaned in to the door to like say something, to like presumably like check on her, and like the man that they're both like somehow involved with / working with is sitting right outside, and so he thinks that she's just like leaned in to check on her, but actually they're like kissing.
Oh my god, wait, I remember this.
Do you remember that? It was like really, it was really, really sweet. Well, I don't know if it was sweet, but like the Japanese lady has like a lot of mental health issues, or like presumably she did, and so she's like clinging onto her, like trying to get her to like not leave. But anyway, that was just like that's like my favorite part of the movie.
That is crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that, but that is crazy.
Anyway, Handmaid, I mean, like, watch it, but like I don't feel seen when I watch that movie, I guess is what I'm trying to say, even though I do like it.
Yeah, no, that's valid. I feel like it's a canon event for like Korean sapphics to get really into that movie. At least, I don't know, I'm not one, but all of the Korean sapphics I know are very into that movie, despite, you know, all the problems it does have.
But everything has problems,
of course.
You know, especially when you're dealing with queer media, or just like media in general. Everything has problems in one way or another.
You know what is kind of interesting though, speaking of like sapphic Asian things, is you know how Thailand is like the biggest producer of BLs, boys love like content? They have recently started dropping a lot of GLs, girls love, ever since like 2022, because Gap the series, I haven't seen any of them, but I just know that one got really big, which was like a GL. And so now they've realized it's like marketable. So they're making like a ton more of them. And I kind of feel like other Asian countries are going to follow in their footsteps because Korea has only like probably since like 2020, 2022 has started releasing a lot more BLs because it used to only be like one or two and then indie studios would drop a couple. But I feel like hopefully in the next few years we're going to get some more Korean GLs. I'm excited for that.
Slay.
I don't know if that would be like making you feel seen, but I will say like watching BLs, despite like the problems they have, at least for me, I liked watching like the Asian BLs because it was just like different to see Asian men like in love, despite all like the problems that media genre has compared to like
Right.
the majority white or like a white guy and then some person of color, some man of color is usually like the lineup you get in Western queer media.
That made me think of Not So Shouju Love Story.
Oh my god, I love that webtoon. I don't know if
I
you all are webtoon
love
readers, but
Not So
that's
Shouju
the
Love
best
Story.
webtoon on that app.
Literally have not found one that's better than that.
Yeah, it starts off extremely ridiculous and like a comedy, but it actually gets very sweet and the character dynamics and the main relationship is super cute. Great sapphic content.
I thought it was just so funny that it was the main character. Her name is Ray, right?
Yes, Ray.
I thought it was so funny when she was like, well, okay, this is rude to say. I really, I liked her like realization and like her coming to terms with her sexuality.
Oh, true. She did have that arc.
Yeah, and it was an arc that I really, really related to, honestly, because she was so obsessed with that man. Like,
Yeah.
fandom obsessed with a real life man. Well,
And
he
also
actually,
fandom obsessed, just like in general.
yeah, she was fandom obsessed and she was like super obsessed with this boy she went to school with. And then, but like the whole time I was like, she's gay though. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, you didn't know you were gay? I mean, because like Loki, she like dressed gay.
Yeah, she's definitely
before-
more mask presenting. Like she looks like a masked lesbian.
Yeah, like before she even knew.
Right. That's so real. Me
And
too.
I thought that was really funny. Was it real? Is it real? I don't know.
No, that's real, dude. Do you remember when I had short hair in like high school? And I was just
Oh,
like, I'm
okay,
so
yeah.
hashtag cisgender and straight. And that was completely a lie. And everyone else
That's
knew.
such-
And I'd constantly be asked, are you a lesbian? By like my classmates, my silly little homophobic Christian classmates. And I'd be
Oh
like,
my god.
guys, no, I'm not a lesbian. And I'm not a lesbian. They were off on that one, but I am queer.
You were correct that you are not a lesbian.
Yeah, I was correct about that. But sometimes I just wouldn't respond to them and I would just leave. And it'd be like kind of fun.
Good for you. That's a lot. I'm sorry about that you didn't do that.
It's okay. We are freed now from silly homophobic
freed.
Christian vibes.
Anyway, yeah, read Not So Shouju Love Story.
Wait, I'm so glad that you got to resonate with that storyline though, because
Yeah.
I was like, wow, maybe there isn't really content for that specific experience, but
I love Not So Shouju Love Story. It was quite nearly fandom to me. It's just like, it's kind of like in the same way as Red, White, and Royal Blue. Like they're both fandom to me in the same way because I like I've been fed, you know, like there's not a lot of like extra content that I need to fill in the gaps. So I'm not like as into, you know what? I'm beginning to realize that maybe what I need is like a ship, like all of the things that I've described, but also that is not canon.
because then you would
Because like Byler is
Yeah.
so big for me because it's not, or like it was so big for me because it's not canon. And now like I don't care about canon anymore. I don't give a flying fuck. But that initial like crazed fandom fan in me was because it wasn't canon.
Yeah, and that's so valid. I feel that energy because
It's very sad though.
yeah, because I don't know because I feel like a lot of the things you've been describing, you're maybe not as into like the adult kind of angsty stuff or like the darker kind of things because a lot of like the very, very like culturally significant sapphic ships, I feel like I don't know, like Revolutionary Girl, like Utina, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, so my bad if that's wrong. And like all of those like animes and then, you know, like Jennifer's Body, all of those kind of things, they kind of have sort of like a darker tone comparatively to maybe like the Byler relationship, even though obviously like it's like horror and things like that, but like they kind of have a more like lighthearted vibe, you know what I mean, comparatively. So it kind of makes sense that you haven't been able to like track that down because I'm not sure if that exists where there's like a really high tension like ship and it's like a long running like focused relationship between two girls and they're like not together but they have like clear tension. Like I don't know if that exists.
I don't know, but like if anyone listening has recommendations, we have a Tumblr now.
Yes, so drop it and ask for Sammie because, you know, she needs that.
I need it. Please help me. Free me from Byler. Oh
Free
my
you
god.
from Byler. Oh my god, yeah. No, because I remember I was like, when you were really into your Byler era, I was like, you need to watch Harley Quinn this series so you can know what actual gay people are.
Oh my god.
No shade to Byler.
I love Harley Quinn.
I love
Harley Quinn, the series.
Dude, I love Poison Ivy. Like, she's so awesome. And like obviously like Harley Quinn is Slay too. Like they're so cute together. But like Poison Ivy's such a good character in that series. Like she's so likable and like cool, but also like awkward and cringe. It's like such a good combo. Like she's so real.
Do you remember when I was her for Halloween?
Yes, that was so cool. You look so slay.
Thank you. I almost didn't do it because I was like, I want to wait till I have a girlfriend who will be like Harley
to be
Quinn
your
with
Harley.
Me.
That would be really cute. You can always just do it again.
Yeah, I will do it again someday. But I was like, fuck this. Like I'm not gonna be single for like a long time, so whatever. I'll just do it by myself. And everyone thought I was She-Hulk, and I was like, are you fucking kidding
me?
Really?
I feel like it was really obvious. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I think so too. And She-Hulk also doesn't have red hair, so I was like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and like no shade, but who is cosplaying She-Hulk?
Right.
Yeah, like that would never cross my mind.
No, give shade to that awful show.
Yeah, no, that I did not watch the whole thing, but I think I saw like an episode or two, and it was not good.
It was not it. We don't fuck with Marvel anymore.
Yeah, oh my god, that just reminds me of like, it was you that sent me that random like Marvel fanfiction between like Scarlet Witch and
Scarlet
Black Widow?
Witch and Black Widow. I sent that to you?
Yeah, I think you sent that to me. That was wild.
That was a crazy move because my friend sent that to me. And
yeah, I remember you said that. Your friend sent it to you and then you sent it to me.
Why did I send it to you? Did I think you would enjoy it?
No, you were like, this is really good. Oh yeah, I guess you did think I would enjoy it then because you were like, this is really good.
If it's the one that, is it the one where like in the last episode they have sex in a pool?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think it was actually that good. Or was it?
I mean, I remember being like, okay, when you like sent it to me. Like I wasn't like this was like horrible or anything, but I was just like, okay.
It was just like, it was really long and I spent a long time reading it, and at that time I didn't read long fan fictions. So I probably like in a way just felt proud of myself for finishing it.
I see.
But like I remember I thought that it was really weird because like, and we might need to cut this out because I don't think we're supposed to say like explicit things on the podcast according to Spotify's like rules or whatever.
Who's gonna know?
Like in that scene in the pool, I just know that that's not how it fucking works.
Wait, I feel like I remember you being like the like mechanics of this don't make sense.
The mechanics made absolutely no sense. They were floating in a fucking pool. Like, were you treading water the whole time? Like, it doesn't make
you're right.
Sense.
That doesn't make sense.
And I was pretty young at the time, but still old enough to know that is not how sex works.
Yeah, no, I genuinely, I mean, obviously scissoring is real, but I don't think it's the primary thing that activity that people jump to. And also that was like not also what they were describing. It was just like weird.
Yeah, they were not even, they were trying to describe scissoring, I think. But
yeah, that is
what they were actually describing was something else entirely fictional.
The interlocking of the labia.
Which is fine, which is also so great for them. Yeah, some Marvel fiction's unrealistic, but low-key, like, that's the thing about some fandoms that aren't based on book fandoms, because it's like book fandoms, at least you know that those fan fiction writers know how to read, whereas like
they know how to read. Oh my god. That's crazy.
It's like, okay, this is like a misogynistic thing that I saw once, but it was like, the difference between Harry Potter girls and horse girls is like, at least you know that a Harry Potter girl knows how to read.
To horse girls?
Like, and like horse girls maybe don't know how to read is what they were saying.
Okay, I take offense to that as a former horse girl because I know how to read. And also, horses are awesome. I was a My Little Pony stan at like 12.
You still like horses?
I mean, yeah, I like horses.
I totally forgot about that.
I was like a hardcore horse girl. Like Bella Sarah, I was all up in that.
What's that?
It was like an online like horse game. To, like, eat your horse and, like,
you had like
and stuff.
different horse drawings like pinned up on your windows.
Yeah, dude, I was obsessed. I had like so many like My Little Pony OCs and stuff. Like, it was wild. Anyways, this is off topic.
Would you become a brony today?
Okay, like I don't think I would get into My Little Pony like again today, but like never say never. But I actually do really enjoy looking at the humanized like fan art of the My Little Pony characters when they make them like really gay looking and also like not white. It's like really fun because I see ones where I don't know yeah, and then it's like really fun to see how people like humanize them because they'll make like Rainbow Dash like a butch lesbian or like they'll
Slay. She
they'll
should
make
be.
yeah, or they'll make like what's the Applejack? Is that her name? Applejack. They'll make her.
Yeah,
They'll make
yeah.
her like
the cowgirl one.
yeah, and it's so funny because like when they draw them, it's like oh wow, those are like gay people, and it's just like fun design. The people get real creative with it, and it's cute. Is there anything you want to end on? Do you want to talk about your imposter syndrome? We don't have to, but we can.
My imposter syndrome. How does it relate to media? I guess I had a lot of imposter syndrome because I still don't engage with that much WLW stuff like in my fandom, even though I shouldn't feel bad about that because low-key I do engage with a lot of sapphic media. Just I don't like fandom about it.
Which is honestly fair because I feel like a lot of fandom spaces don't know how to treat women properly. So obviously there's pockets of the internet that have great like sapphic content and there's like artists and stuff that are sapphic and not white, which is also sometimes a very important thing, that create like great fan content and stuff for things, but it can be like harder to find in like mainstream fandoms, like the spaces where people are normal about women. Well, with that, I think we've reached the end of our third episode. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.